The late afternoon sunlight streamed through the living room blinds, casting warm golden stripes across the polished hardwood floor. The gentle hum of the ceiling fan was the only sound, blending with the faint rustle of the curtains swaying in the soft breeze. The air smelled faintly of fresh laundry, a hint of vanilla from the candle on the coffee table, and a lingering sweetness from the afternoon cookies still cooling on the kitchen counter. Little Emma sat cross-legged on the rug, carefully tying her sneakers. Her backpack leaned against the sofa, half open, with crayons and a worn notebook peeking out. She hummed softly, a tune she had learned from school, each note light and carefree. The calm of the house wrapped around her like a soft blanket, a quiet, ordinary moment full of innocence. Max, the family's golden retriever, lay nearby. His fur gleamed in the sunlight, warm and soft, and his eyes, half closed, followed Emma's movements. Even while resting, there was an air of alertness about him, a quiet attentiveness, like he was attuned to more than just the room. His ears twitched slightly, and his tail thumped once against the carpet, a subtle rhythm in the calm. Emma bounced lightly to her feet, backpack straps sliding over her shoulders. She skipped toward the front door, the small squeak of her shoes on the hardwood echoing softly. Max lifted his head, ears pricking, eyes narrowing. He rose, fur brushing the floor as he moved with a calm, deliberate energy. Each step was measured, purposeful, almost as if he could sense the invisible threads of the day ahead. "Come on, Max," Emma said, laughing softly, turning to look at him. She expected him to follow, but instead, he stepped directly in front of her. Not aggressively, not fearfully, just firmly. Blocking her path. Emma tilted her head, confused. "What's wrong, Max?" she whispered. She reached out, hand brushing his golden fur. Max pressed gently against her shoulder, nudging her back toward the living room. His gaze never left the front door, never wavered. There was a quiet insistence there, a focus that felt almost human. Her mother called from the kitchen, "Emma, don't forget your lunchbox." Max glanced toward the voice, then back to the door, tail stiffening slightly. He barked softly once, a low, deliberate sound. Gentle, but firm. Emma giggled nervously. Okay, you win, Max." She stepped aside. Max didn't move to follow her this time. Instead, he paced near the doorway, sniffing the air carefully, shifting his weight from paw to paw. Every movement carried a sense of focus, like he could feel something no one else could. Emma bent down and rested her hands on his back, warm in the golden sunlight. "What are you trying to tell us, Max?" Her voice was quiet, almost reverent. Max leaned into her, eyes soft but unwavering, as if holding a secret meant only for her. The room was silent except for the soft sounds of the afternoon. Outside, birds chirped faintly, and the wind moved through the trees, brushing the leaves. But inside, the calm was tinged with something subtle, a tension only Max seemed to notice. It wasn't fear, not in the way humans think of it. It was quiet anticipation, a deep awareness that something was about to happen. Emma's father entered the room, wiping his hands on a dish towel. He looked at Max with a soft smile. "What's he doing?" he asked, voice calm, curious. "Blocking the door again?" Emma shrugged. "I don't know, he just won't let me go out." She glanced at Max, who sat now, rigid but calm, eyes locked on the driveway. It was as if he were waiting, watching, sensing. Her father crouched to her level. "You think he's trying to tell us something?" Emma shrugged again, still unsure. She reached for the doorknob, but Max nudged her hand gently away. She laughed softly, a nervous sound, more in disbelief than fear. "You're being dramatic, Max," she said, shaking her head. "It's just a car ride." Max sat down, head tilting slightly, as if listening to a sound only he could hear. The sun's warm glow lit his fur, turning it into a halo of gold. Emma reached down again, stroking him gently, feeling the reassuring warmth of his body. "I wish I knew what you were thinking," she murmured. The house seemed to hold its breath with them. The golden light made the air feel thick and cozy, yet the focus in Max's eyes suggested there was more to this quiet afternoon than met the eye. Every small noise, the creak of the stairs, the whisper of wind against the window, the faint hum of the refrigerator, seemed amplified, noticed by the dog, noticed in a way that suggested he understood something beyond the ordinary. Emma whispered again, softly, "Max, what are you trying to tell us?" Her hand rested gently on his back. Max leaned in closer, head tilting slightly, ears forward, eyes unwavering. The warmth of the sun settled over them, the calm of the home surrounding them, but beneath it all, something was quietly unfolding. Max's intuition was patient, deliberate, unwavering. And somewhere in that quiet golden hour, the truth behind Max's behavior would soon become clear. The truth behind Max's behavior would change everything. The afternoon sun began to dip lower, spilling a deeper golden glow across the living room. Dust motes floated lazily in the light, catching the warmth like tiny sparks dancing in the air. The house remained calm, almost dreamlike, but the gentle tension from earlier lingered in the corners. Max, the golden retriever, sat near the front door, his posture alert yet unassuming. Emma picked up her backpack again, pretending she wanted to leave. "Max, come on, it's just the car," she said softly, her small voice carrying a mixture of curiosity and frustration. She glanced at her father, who was reading the newspaper in the kitchen. He looked up briefly, raising an eyebrow at the dog's unusual behavior. Max's ears twitched. He rose, muscles moving with smooth precision, and stepped between Emma and the door again. This time, he didn't bark, he simply looked at her, eyes steady and knowing. The way he held himself, calm, focused, unshakable, made it clear he wasn't acting out of playfulness. He was communicating something important. Emma tilted her head, studying him. What are you sensing, Max?" she whispered. She knelt down, brushing her hand over his head. The warmth of his fur grounded her, yet the intensity in his eyes made her pulse quicken ever so slightly. It was subtle, soft, but persistent. Her mother appeared in the hallway, carrying a folded towel. She noticed Max and frowned softly. "He's acting strange," she said. "He's never done this before." She knelt next to Emma, wrapping her arm gently around her shoulders. "Do you think something's wrong?" Emma shook her head. I don't know." She looked at Max again, who now shifted slightly, sniffing the air near the doorway. He moved with measured steps, scanning the space outside without leaving the threshold. Every subtle movement was deliberate, careful, like a dance only he understood. The faint sound of a car door closing down the street reached them. Max's tail stiffened slightly, but he didn't bark. He simply stepped closer to Emma, pressing gently against her legs as if shielding her. She giggled nervously, not fully understanding, yet feeling the gravity of his focus. Her father set down his newspaper and walked over, crouching beside them. "He's definitely sensing something," he murmured, voice low, almost reverent. "I've never seen him like this." He reached out, rubbing Max behind the ears. The dog leaned into the touch but never broke eye contact with the driveway. Max let out a soft, low whine, a sound that seemed almost human in its subtle urgency. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She whispered, "It's okay, Max, we're listening." She could feel the warmth of his body against hers, the strength of his intuition pressing softly, insistently. The room seemed to grow quieter, as if holding its breath, watching this small, silent communication unfold. The soft golden light touched Emma's hair, illuminating her small face in a halo-like glow. Max nudged her again, this time guiding her a few steps back into the living room. She glanced at him, eyes wide, sensing the importance of the moment. There was no fear in him, only a calm certainty, a quiet message she couldn't yet interpret. Her mother's voice broke the silence, gentle but questioning. "Do you think he's warning us?" Emma shook her head again, unsure how to answer. Max shifted, eyes scanning, ears flicking, every sense tuned to the invisible rhythm of the world outside. The faint hum of the refrigerator, the distant barking of a neighbor's dog, even the soft rustle of leaves in the wind, Max registered it all, his intuition layering it together in a way humans couldn't. He was the silent sentinel of the home, the invisible thread holding the ordinary afternoon together with something extraordinary. Emma reached down again, resting her hands on Max's shoulders. "We'll listen, Max," she whispered. "We'll be careful." Max pressed back, head tilting slightly, eyes steady. It was as if he understood that his message had been received, but the warning wasn't complete yet. Her father stood slowly, glancing toward the driveway. The afternoon light fell across the yard, painting everything in warm amber tones. He noticed the soft imprint of Max's paws on the carpet, the gentle rhythm of his breathing, the quiet intensity of his gaze. Something about the dog's demeanor demanded attention, not panic, but awareness, presence. Time seemed to stretch, each second holding a quiet, cinematic weight. The room was warm, the golden light soft, the family united in this small, silent vigil. Max's intuition was steady, patient, deliberate, a gentle nudge towards something unseen, guiding them through an ordinary afternoon that was quietly becoming extraordinary. Emma whispered one more time, softly, reverently, "We're listening, Max, tell us." Max's tail thumped once, slow and measured, and he settled back on the floor, keeping his eyes on the doorway. Every movement carried purpose, every glance held meaning, and the family knew, even if they didn't fully understand yet, that Max's gentle intuition was keeping them connected, aware, and safe. In that warm golden light, with soft dust motes dancing in the air, the family realized that sometimes, the quietest, gentlest voice could speak the loudest truth. The golden afternoon light began to fade into a softer, amber glow, brushing the walls with the warmth of late day. Shadows stretched lazily across the living room floor, blending with the quiet hum of the ceiling fan. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying the faint scent of freshly cut grass. Inside, the house was calm, but the unusual energy from earlier still lingered. Emma sat on the sofa, Max curled closely at her feet. His head rested on her lap, but his eyes were not fully relaxed. They flicked toward the front door, then toward the windows, always scanning, always listening. Every so often, he would let out a soft, low whine, barely audible, yet enough to make Emma glance up, heart tightening with curiosity. Her mother, drying her hands on a towel, paused in the kitchen doorway. "He hasn't acted like this before," she murmured, her voice quiet, almost reverent. "There's something different about him today." She glanced at Emma. "Have you noticed?" Emma nodded slowly. "He keeps looking at the door, like he's waiting for something." She hesitated, unsure why Max seemed so intent. Her small fingers absently stroked the top of his head, feeling the warmth of his fur and the steady rhythm of his breathing. Her father walked over from the kitchen, hands in his pockets, eyes following Max's gaze. "He's definitely sensing something," he said, crouching to meet the dog's level. He ran a hand gently along Max's back. Max leaned into the touch, but his eyes never left the doorway. The intensity there was palpable, calm, yet commanding attention. The family exchanged quiet glances, each of them sensing the same gentle tension. It wasn't fear. Not exactly. It was awareness. A subtle pull in the atmosphere, something invisible but real. Something that Max had already recognized. Emma's mother crouched next to her daughter, whispering, "Do you think he's warning us about something?" Emma shook her head slowly. "I don't know, maybe he just doesn't want me to leave." Her voice carried a hint of doubt, but the careful observation in her eyes betrayed her curiosity. Max shifted slightly, his nose twitching as he sniffed the air again. His tail gave a small, measured wag, but it was not playful. It was deliberate and indicator, subtle but firm. Every step he took, every glance he gave, seemed to carry a message the humans couldn't yet interpret. The quiet of the late afternoon made each sound in the house more noticeable. The ticking of the wall clock, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the rustle of leaves outside, all seemed amplified. Max's head lifted, ears flicking, as he registered these details. He rose and moved a few steps closer to the front door, then sat again, eyes fixed, unwavering. Her father watched him carefully. "He's serious," he said softly, almost to himself. "I've never seen him act like this. Not even when the vacuum was on." He chuckled quietly, but his tone carried awe. Max wasn't reacting to noise. He wasn't acting out of habit. He was observing, assessing, protecting. Emma leaned down, resting her chin on Max's neck. "You're trying to tell us something, aren't you, boy?" she whispered. Max leaned back, letting her feel the quiet weight of his presence, but made no other movement. He remained fully aware of the doorway, alert to something beyond the family's senses. Her mother spoke again, voice soft but reflective. "It's strange, he's never behaved like this before. He's usually calm, happy to follow along. But today, he's different." She paused, glancing toward the doorway. "I wonder if he knows something we don't." Max stood once more, moving closer to the threshold. His movements were fluid, precise, full of calm determination. The family noticed how he positioned himself slightly between Emma and the door, protective, yet not aggressive. Every inch of his body language seemed deliberate, filled with intention. Her father knelt and reached for Max's collar, gently holding him in place. "I think we need to pay attention," he said quietly. "He's trying to communicate, in his own way." He let go slowly, watching as Max settled back into a sitting position, tail sweeping softly across the floor. Emma's curiosity grew. She traced the edges of her backpack absent-mindedly and whispered, "I wish I could understand what he's thinking." Max gave a soft whine in response, as if acknowledging her words, pressing closer to her legs for reassurance. Time seemed to stretch. The golden light softened further, shadows blending into warm amber. Max remained still but vigilant, his presence a steady anchor in the quiet room. The family watched him with growing wonder, realizing the depth of his intuition and the gentle way he guided them, even without words. Her mother finally said, maybe he knows something that we can't see yet." Emma nodded, eyes wide. "Maybe he's protecting me." She glanced at Max, warmth filling her chest. The bond between them was undeniable, unspoken, intuitive, strong. Outside, a neighbor's dog barked in the distance, the sound soft but noticeable. Max twitched his ears and let out a quiet, low growl, not threatening, not angry, just attentive. He returned to his vigil by the doorway, every sense alive. The family shared a quiet moment, absorbing the soft tension, the subtle mystery. Max's actions had already sparked their curiosity, creating a silent conversation between dog and humans, a dialogue of trust, awareness, and love. And in that warm, golden living room, they understood something profound. Sometimes, the quietest beings notice the things we cannot. The sky outside had shifted to a soft, pastel glow, the kind of late afternoon light that draped the neighborhood in quiet warmth. Sunlight spilled through the windows, bathing the living room in gentle amber. The house felt alive in a soft, serene way, as if even the walls were leaning in to watch Max's subtle vigil. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, Max curled beside her, head resting lightly on her knees. She stroked his fur absent-mindedly, feeling the comforting warmth and the steady rise and fall of his chest. There was an unspoken understanding in their connection, a bond that needed no words. Max's eyes, deep and observant, never left the front door. He rose occasionally, pacing slowly, sniffing the air with quiet focus, then returned to Emma's side. Each movement carried purpose, his calm energy a constant reassurance. Her mother entered the room, holding a cup of tea, the steam rising in delicate curls. She crouched near Emma and Max, watching the dog with soft fascination. "You know," she said quietly, "I've never seen him act like this. It's like he knows something we don't." She glanced at Emma. "And he's patient, too. He's not scared, just aware." Emma nodded, her fingers continuing to comb through Max's soft fur. "He's protecting me," she said softly. "I can feel it." Max leaned further into her lap, pressing gently, as if confirming her words. His presence was warm, grounding, and full of quiet strength. Her father joined them, kneeling by the doorway. He watched Max carefully, noticing the subtle shifts in his posture, the way his ears flicked at every faint sound outside, the soft wag of his tail when Emma reached for him. "It's incredible," he murmured. "He's reading everything. Every noise, every movement, every shadow." He reached out, placing a hand lightly on Max's back. Max leaned into the touch, calm but resolute, eyes still fixed on the outside world. The family's curiosity deepened, but so did their trust in Max's intuition. Each glance, each movement, each soft whine was now understood as a message. It was as if Max were speaking to them in a language made of presence, intention, and care. Emma's mother leaned closer, her voice soft and reflective. "I think he's asking us to pay attention, to notice what we might normally overlook." She reached out, placing a hand on Emma's shoulder. "He's trying to guide us, gently." Emma looked up at Max, eyes wide with wonder. "I wish I could understand everything he's telling us," she whispered. Max pressed his head against her lap, warm and steady, as if saying, "I'm here, and I've got you." The quiet hum of the house made each sound more pronounced, the faint creak of the stairs, the subtle rustle of leaves outside, the distant bark of a neighbor's dog. Max registered it all. Every small detail mattered. He moved with careful precision, ensuring that his family remained safe and calm. Her father watched him for a long moment. "It's like he knows the rhythm of the world outside, in a way we can't." He shook his head slowly, amazed. "And he's teaching us to notice too." Emma giggled softly, brushing Max's fur along his back. "You're amazing, Max," she whispered. "You always know what to do." Max let out a soft, low whine in response, his eyes warm and knowing, tail sweeping slowly against the floor. Her mother smiled, sipping her tea. "I think he's trying to show us that sometimes, paying attention matters more than rushing." She glanced toward the door, then back at Max. "He's gentle, patient, and smart." Time seemed to stretch, the amber light of late afternoon wrapping around them like a soft blanket. Max settled finally at Emma's feet, eyes still on the doorway but body relaxed. His vigilance was calm, deliberate, and full of quiet assurance. Emma leaned down, resting her forehead against Max's head. "I trust you," she whispered. "I'll listen." Max pressed back slightly, ears flicking, eyes soft but focused. In that moment, their bond deepened, an unspoken agreement of trust and love, strengthened by his gentle intuition. Her father looked at the scene, his voice quiet. "It's remarkable how a dog can make us stop and see the world differently." Max let out a soft exhale, almost like a sigh of contentment, and nudged Emma gently with his nose. The family sat together, bathed in the warm, golden light, feeling the quiet rhythm of connection. Max's presence was steady, his intuition guiding them, his loyalty evident in every small gesture. And in that serene moment, each of them realized just how profound their bond with him had become. Outside, the wind whispered again through the trees, carrying the faint sense of the neighborhood. Max's eyes never left the front door, but now, instead of tension, there was quiet confidence. He had done his job well, guiding, protecting, and nurturing the hearts of the humans he loved. The late afternoon stretched on, soft, calm, and full of gentle warmth. Max's quiet strength was a beacon, a reminder that love often speaks in subtle ways, and that sometimes, the gentlest guardians are the ones who notice what we cannot. The soft amber light of late afternoon began to shift into a warm, honeyed glow as the sun dipped closer to the horizon. The living room, bathed in this serene light, felt almost sacred, a quiet space where every sound, every movement, seemed to carry meaning. Max remained near the front door, his golden fur glowing in the fading sun, eyes fixed and unwavering. Emma sat on the rug, her knees drawn up, Max resting his head against her lap. She stroked him absent-mindedly, the gentle rhythm of her hand over his fur matching the rise and fall of his calm breathing. She glanced at her parents, who were quietly watching him, both of them captivated by the dog's silent intensity. Her father finally spoke, his voice soft and thoughtful. "Something's happening outside," he murmured. "I don't know what, but Max is sensing it." He leaned closer to the doorway, eyes scanning the driveway and the yard beyond. The quiet evening air carried faint hints of distant car engines, neighbors' voices, and the rustle of leaves, but there was nothing alarming, nothing obvious. Max shifted slightly, nudging Emma gently toward the center of the room. His movements were deliberate but not insistent, soft, almost like a suggestion. Emma's mother reached out, resting her hand on Max's back. "He's telling us to stay," she said quietly. "To wait. To pay attention." Emma looked up at Max, wide-eyed. "Why?" she whispered. Max's gaze remained locked on the front door, ears pricked. He tilted his head slightly, as if inviting her to notice what she had missed. She followed his gaze, trying to see the world through his perspective, but all she saw was the quiet driveway, bathed in warm evening light. Then came a subtle sound, a faint shuffle, almost imperceptible, coming from the street outside. Max's ears flicked, tail stiffened slightly, and he let out a soft whine. Emma's mother gasped lightly, instinctively pulling her daughter closer. "He's aware of something," she said softly, more to herself than anyone else. Her father moved cautiously toward the door, but Max stepped between him and the exit. Not aggressively, simply with a calm authority, a gentle insistence. It was as if Max were saying, "Not yet, wait and watch." Emma reached out, resting her small hands on his shoulders. "We'll listen," she whispered. Max leaned into her touch, a quiet reassurance that their trust was understood and shared. The room was alive with soft tension, but it was not fear. It was anticipation, a slow, careful unraveling of a mystery only Max could perceive. Minutes passed, the golden light deepening to orange, and the soft hum of the evening settled around them. Max moved a few steps closer to the door again, sniffing the air delicately, then sat down with a calm, deliberate posture. Every sense in him seemed attuned to the subtle world outside, sounds, scents, vibrations that humans could barely register. Emma's mother whispered, "He's teaching us patience, isn't he?" Emma nodded. "He's showing us how to pay attention." Her small hand stroked Max's head, feeling the warmth of his fur and the steady heartbeat beneath. Her father finally said, "Maybe it's time to start asking questions," gently. He pulled out his phone, fingers hovering over the screen. "I'm going to call the police, just to check if there's been any reports, something small, nothing alarming. Max is just guiding us to be careful." Max tilted his head slightly, as if approving the plan. He nudged Emma gently, his warm nose brushing against her arm. Emma giggled softly. "You're right, Max," she whispered. "We need to listen carefully." The first call went to the local station. The officer on the other end spoke in calm tones, assuring them that everything seemed quiet, but mentioned a small alert in the area, something that could pose a risk if unnoticed. The family exchanged quiet glances, hearts quickening in subtle anticipation. Max responded instantly to the faint change in atmosphere. He rose, pacing softly, sniffing again, and nudged Emma toward the sofa. It was not panic, it was guidance. Soft, precise, intentional. Every action he took communicated, "Stay calm. Observe. Trust me." Emma's mother wrapped her arms around her daughter, whispering, "He's protecting you, all of you." Emma pressed her cheek against Max's head. "I know, Max. I trust you." Max leaned in, resting his chin on her shoulder, eyes steady and warm, full of quiet wisdom. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the floor. The gentle reveal was unfolding, subtle and slow, guided entirely by Max's intuition. The family felt a deepening sense of trust, a quiet acknowledgement that Max's awareness was extraordinary. Her father leaned back slightly, exhaling softly. "He's incredible," he murmured. "We can't even begin to understand how he senses things, but we can follow him." Max sat, tail sweeping gently across the floor, ears pricked, still focused on the quiet street beyond. The evening held its breath, bathed in amber light, as the family allowed themselves to simply observe, listen, and feel the unfolding mystery. Max's presence was steady, patient, and reassuring, a living guide through the quiet tension of the unknown. And in that calm, honeyed glow, the family realized the first truth about what Max sensed. It was subtle, careful, and life-affirming. They didn't yet know the full story, but they could feel it approaching, guided by the gentle instincts of the dog who loved them most. The sky outside had deepened into a soft, dusky purple, streaked with warm amber and fading gold. The last rays of the sun slipped behind the trees, casting long, gentle shadows across the living room. The air carried the faint scent of evening blossoms drifting in through the open window, and the house itself felt suspended in a quiet, expectant calm. Max sat near the front door, his golden fur glowing faintly in the fading light. His eyes, ever alert and unwavering, scanned the quiet street outside. Emma rested her chin on his back, feeling the warmth of his body and the steady rhythm of his breathing. Every small movement he made seemed deliberate, purposeful, as if he alone could read the invisible patterns of the world beyond the doorway. Her father, still tense but composed, knelt beside Max. "I think it's time we know exactly what's happening," he whispered. He picked up his phone again, hand steady despite the underlying tension. Max tilted his head, ears pricking, as if agreeing with the decision. His tail swept slowly across the floor, a gentle, grounding rhythm. Emma's mother wrapped her arms around her daughter, whispering, "Whatever it is, Max has been guiding us carefully, we'll be okay." Emma nodded, her small hand pressing against Max's shoulder. "I trust him," she said softly. Max leaned in slightly, resting his chin against her arm, eyes steady, full of quiet assurance. The phone call connected to the local police station. The officer's voice was calm, methodical, and professional, explaining that earlier that day, there had been a report of suspicious activity near the neighborhood. Nothing dangerous had happened yet, but there was a potential for a situation that could affect anyone who stepped out alone. The words themselves were measured, almost mundane, yet the meaning settled over the family like a quiet weight. Emma gasped softly, glancing at Max. That's why you were stopping me," she whispered. Max pressed closer to her, eyes warm and steady, as if saying, "Yes. I knew." Her father exhaled slowly, feeling a rush of gratitude and awe. "He saved you, Emma, before anything could happen," he said quietly, voice thick with emotion. Max let out a soft whine, tilting his head, and nudged Emma gently, as though confirming the truth of his instincts. Emma's mother reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. "It's incredible, the way he knew," she murmured. "He guided you without fear, without panic, just calm, careful intuition." Her eyes softened, glimmering in the warm light. "He kept you safe." Emma leaned down, hugging Max tightly, feeling the soft weight of his body against hers. "I don't know how you knew, but thank you, Max," she whispered, voice quivering. Max rested his head on her shoulder, ears flicking slightly, eyes full of gentle understanding, as if acknowledging her words without needing to speak. Her father watched them, a quiet smile on his face. "It's amazing," he said softly. "He read the world in a way we couldn't. He saw something before we even knew there was a reason to be concerned." Max's tail thumped slowly against the floor, steady and deliberate, a rhythm that seemed to echo the calm trust within the room. Outside, the evening air was calm. Streetlights flickered on, casting soft pools of light across the quiet pavement. Max's eyes never left the driveway, ears alert, yet his body remained calm, his presence a constant reassurance. The family's trust in him had deepened, their connection strengthened by the subtle miracle of his instincts. Emma whispered again, pressing her cheek against Max's head. "I understand now. You weren't just stopping me, you were guiding me, protecting me, guiding all of us." Max let out a low, soft sigh, leaning closer, warmth radiating from his body. Her mother smiled, voice soft and reflective. "Sometimes," she said, "the smallest, quietest beings are the ones who see the most, who protect the most." She looked at Max, gratitude shining in her eyes. "And they don't do it for praise, just love." Her father nodded slowly, taking a seat on the sofa. "We've learned something important today," he said quietly. Patience, observation, trust, and the value of noticing the subtle signs, especially when they come from someone who loves us unconditionally. The room settled into calm once more. The amber light from the streetlights mingled with the fading warmth from the setting sun, casting a golden glow over Emma, her parents, and Max. The tension that had built throughout the afternoon had softened into relief, gratitude, and quiet awe. Emma rested her head on Max's back, feeling the soft rise and fall of his breathing, a heartbeat that had guided them through uncertainty. "You're my hero, Max," she whispered. Max nudged her gently, eyes full of calm understanding, as if acknowledging the bond they shared, an unspoken promise that he would always be there, vigilant, gentle, and loving. In that quiet, honeyed evening, the family understood the full depth of Max's gift. His instincts had not only protected them but had drawn them closer together, strengthening the trust, love, and connection that bound them as a family. The night had settled gently over the neighborhood. Streetlights cast soft golden pools across the quiet pavement, and the faint rustle of leaves whispered through the trees. Inside, the living room glowed warmly, bathed in the comforting light of a single lamp. Max lay at the center of the room, golden fur shining faintly, eyes alert yet calm. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, leaning against him, hands resting gently on his back. Her parents were nearby, sharing quiet glances that held both relief and wonder. The soft hum of the refrigerator, the occasional creak of the house settling, and the distant bark of a dog down the street all seemed amplified, as if every sound carried meaning. The phone call earlier from the police had provided clarity, but the full truth had yet to sink in. Now, an officer arrived in person, calm and measured, carrying news that would deepen the family's awe. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter, Emma," the officer began, voice gentle but serious. "We reviewed the reports and followed up on the suspicious activity. It appears someone had been attempting to tamper with vehicles in your area. Nothing had been done yet to harm anyone, but the situation could have been dangerous if someone had gone outside alone." Emma's mother gasped softly. "So, Max, he knew." Her voice trembled, caught between disbelief and gratitude. Max shifted slightly, pressing closer to Emma, his presence a comforting anchor. Her father's hand rested on Emma's shoulder, squeezing gently. "He saved you," he said quietly. "He knew before any of us did." Max let out a soft, low whine, as if acknowledging the weight of their words. Emma's small hands clutched Max's fur, warmth radiating through her. "You stopped me, because you were protecting me," she whispered, voice soft but full of emotion. Max nudged her gently, resting his head on her shoulder, eyes steady and warm. The officer continued, "We were able to notify neighbors and patrol the area. Thanks to your dog's alertness and your caution, no one was harmed. His intuition likely prevented a dangerous situation." Emma's mother placed a hand over her heart, tears welling in her eyes. "I don't even know how to thank him," she said softly, voice thick with emotion. "It's incredible. He didn't just act, he guided us, with love." Emma looked down at Max, feeling the soft rise and fall of his chest beneath her hands. "You're my hero, Max," she whispered. "You always know what to do, you always know how to help." Max rested his head in her lap, letting the warmth of her presence soak into him, eyes reflecting calm understanding. Her father leaned back on the sofa, letting out a long breath, feeling a mixture of awe and relief. "It's remarkable, the way he senses things," he said quietly. "We've always known he's smart, intuitive, loving, but this is beyond what we could have imagined." Max shifted slightly, rising to his paws and pacing slowly near the front door, sniffing the air, then returning to Emma's side. His movements were calm but deliberate, each step a message. "I was watching. I was guiding. You're safe now." Emma's mother knelt to stroke him gently. He didn't need to bark. He didn't need to cause panic. He just acted. Patiently, carefully, intuitively. And he kept us calm, safe, and together. She smiled, tears glistening in the lamplight. Emma rested her head against Max's neck, feeling his warmth seep into her, heart swelling with gratitude and love. "I get it now," she whispered. "You weren't just stopping me from leaving, you were showing me, showing all of us, that love looks like paying attention. Protecting. Guiding." Her father reached down, brushing his hand along Max's back. "Sometimes," he said softly, "the bravest acts are quiet, unnoticed. They don't need recognition, they just save lives." Max leaned into the touch, tail sweeping gently across the floor. The officer gave a small nod. "You're lucky," he said quietly. "Lucky to have a dog with such awareness and loyalty. He's remarkable, a true guardian in every sense." Emma's mother wrapped an arm around her daughter, both of them smiling at Max. "It's amazing how someone so gentle, so calm, can hold so much strength," she said. "He's not just a dog. He's family. And today, he proved it." Emma whispered again, pressing her hands over Max's warm fur. "You always know what to do, you always know how to help. Thank you, Max." Max rested his head on her lap, eyes soft and wise, tail giving a slow, reassuring sweep. Outside, the night air settled, quiet and calm. The danger had passed, but the warmth of love and gratitude lingered inside. Max's intuition, patience, and quiet courage had revealed a truth more powerful than fear, that love, observation, and presence could guide and protect in ways no one else could. The family shared a long, silent moment, simply breathing, simply feeling the bond they had always known but now appreciated more deeply. Max's quiet heroism had been revealed, and its impact was profound, touching each of their hearts in a way that would never be forgotten. The night had fully settled over the neighborhood. The stars blinked softly above, scattered across the deep navy sky, while the gentle glow of streetlights bathed the quiet street in a warm, comforting light. Inside, the house felt alive in a soft, serene way, every shadow, every small sound carrying a sense of peace. Max lay curled on the living room rug, his golden fur glowing faintly in the lamp's warm light. Emma rested beside him, small hands stroking his back slowly, the soft rise and fall of his breathing steadying her own heartbeat. The house, once full of subtle tension and anticipation, now radiated calm. Her mother sat on the sofa, cup of tea in hand, watching Emma and Max with a quiet smile. "It's amazing," she whispered softly, voice filled with wonder. "The way he guided us, the way he protected us, it was quiet, patient, perfect." Her father leaned back, a soft exhale leaving him as he gazed at Max. "I've never seen anything like it," he said quietly. "All day, every movement, every subtle cue, he led us through uncertainty without fear. Just love, trust, and awareness." Emma giggled softly, her small face glowing in the lamp's light. "You knew what to do, Max," she whispered, pressing her cheek against his warm fur. Max nudged her gently with his nose, tail sweeping softly across the floor. It was as if he were saying, "I'm here. Always." The family shared a quiet, reflective moment. The tension, the mystery, the anticipation, all of it had dissolved into gratitude, love, and awe. The subtle lesson Max had given them was clear: paying attention, trusting intuition, and acting with calm awareness could prevent harm and deepen bonds in ways nothing else could. Outside, the soft chirp of crickets mixed with the distant hum of a late-night car, the world carrying on as if unaware of the quiet heroics that had occurred inside the home. But the family felt it deeply, the profound impact of Max's actions, his patience, and his unwavering care. Emma's mother wrapped her arm around her daughter. "It's incredible," she whispered. "He didn't just save you, he taught all of us something today." Emma leaned into her mother's embrace, hand still resting on Max. "I know," she said softly. "I feel it. I understand now." Her father reached down, rubbing Max gently behind the ears. "He's more than a pet," he murmured. "He's a guardian, a teacher, and a friend. A part of our family in every sense." Max leaned into the touch, eyes closing slightly in contentment, tail thumping softly. The family remained together, the golden glow of the lamp wrapping them in warmth. Max lay quietly, occasionally letting out a soft sigh, each breath a reminder of the calm, protective presence that had guided them through the day. Emma whispered again, almost reverently, "I'll always trust you, Max. Always." Outside, the night deepened, stars shimmering softly. The neighborhood was peaceful, unaware of the subtle danger that had been avoided, guided by the quiet heroism of a dog who understood more than humans could see. The gentle lesson lingered in the house: love, intuition, and awareness could quietly, profoundly change lives. Her mother smiled, voice soft and reflective. "We've been reminded tonight that sometimes the greatest protectors are those who don't speak, who don't demand attention, who simply act with love." Emma nodded, squeezing Max's fur gently. Her father leaned back, exhaling, letting the day's tension dissolve fully. "And we've learned to listen," he said quietly. "To notice the small signs, the subtle cues, the gentle guidance that comes from those who care for us unconditionally." Max shifted slightly, head resting on Emma's lap again, eyes soft but steady. In that quiet moment, the bond between dog and family felt unbreakable, rooted in trust, love, and understanding. No words were necessary. Every gesture, every glance, every soft nudge spoke volumes. Emma whispered one last time, pressing her forehead to Max's. "Thank you for everything," she said. Max responded with a soft, contented sigh, eyes closing, tail sweeping once across the floor. The room was silent, warm, and full of a sense of closure, peace, and love. The family sat together in quiet reflection, hearts full, the gentle lesson of the day etched deeply in their minds. The world could be navigated safely, calmly, and lovingly when guided by intuition, awareness, and unwavering care. Outside, the stars shone brightly, a quiet mirror of the warmth, love, and connection that glowed within the house. And within that glow, the family knew Max's vigilance, patience, and intuition had not only protected them, but had strengthened their bond in a way that would last a lifetime.